Greeting Pokemon trading card game fans. Today I bring you a Palafin EX list. Yes, Palafin EX. And a pretty solid list in 2025. For complete transparency, it's not my list. I watched a video by the one and only For the One TGC who featured this list, and I'm sure he pulled the list from somewhere else. So if you want to see real gameplay, go check his video out. Because I'm only in the business of deck flows. That's a lie. I'll do some gameplay if I feel like it's necessary. But here's the list if you wanted to see a visual representation of the list. Now, here is my deck flow. Everything around is all the pieces of the deck kind of spread out. So for me, I visualize it better. And here in the middle is what I'd say is the flow of the deck. Now, a little bit of a refresher if it's been a minute since you've seen this Palafin EX. You have the Finizens. There are others, but this is the best one. That's silly. Your basic doesn't not super useful basic, but it's 70 HP, so you know, Drag Bolt. Now, we can look at 0 to Hero, the ability. It's a lot of words, and it all pretty much says if this Palafin stage 1 is inactive and it switches to the bench, you can activate this ability to go switch this specific card with this specific card if it's in your deck. There are different conditions that affects it, blah blah blah. It's just if this card is in the active and it goes to your bench, it turns into this card. That is pretty cool. It's a reference to the video games. If you don't play them, I don't play them. I just know it's a reference to the video games. Now, Palafin EX is a pretty beefy boy. Other than Joltik Box, there isn't a lot of lightning Pokemon running around. So 340, you have to 2-hit it. There isn't, other than Raging Bolt, there's not a lot in this format that's one-shotting this. Golden Golemite, that's just more resources on average that they have to build to be able to continuously one-shot one of these guys. Now, the 250 for 1 energy is nice, but 250 is two-shotting most things that are two-shotting you, but it is one-shotting a lot of those middle-ranged Pokemon. So you might have to be two-shotting something larger and one-shotting the Fezes and such on the bench, but that is the way the deck is. There's not a way to beef up his health, but we do have ways to beef up his damage in this deck. Now, the big question is, if it's not already obvious, having a Pokemon that needs to go to the bench and then come back to the active and then do it again each turn because of that during your next turn's Pokemon can attack thing means you need some consistent switching. Used to be, you'd pair it with Pecharunt and like Weevil for a gust or other things. But today, we've paired it with Zoroark EX. Yes, not only is it a darkness Pokemon that can be pushed to the front for free, we also have In's Castle that gives us Zoroark free retreats, and our Zoroark is more draw. Now, I was a Palafin EX stan back in the day. I could go find a list where I was having to play with Budews and stuff because Palafin's not giving you any draw. Relying on Sport sucks. So this adds a lot more consistency and fits right in where the old Palafin failed to succeed. But we are looking at some our basic friends that are in each of our decks. Good for solid attacker, draw when you need it mid-game, big movements back and forth, and well, you kind of have to set up a little bit, so there's some Budew in here. Now, the items and supporter lineup are becoming more standard Budews to find our basics and our Budews from the Zoroarks and the Palafins, Nest Balls for these guys, Ultra Balls for your evolutions. Super Rod is important, well, because I don't see Super Rod a lot in today's age. When Night Stretcher is a better card, you need that Palafin in the deck, not in the discard pile to use. So Super Rod is more important than Night Stretcher here. Defiance Band we'll get back to. our 2 catcher friends that are in a lot of lists. The ever necessary Inn's Castle for our free retreat, rescue board that can turn Fez into a pivot, and then our 4/4 Iono research bosses orders, because you need to be able to hit those 250 important scratch. You need to be able to hit those 250s importantly and make them count. You can't just willy-nilly and expect to win. Rock Scouting for item locked basic and evolution search, phenomenal. Kieran for switch or damage buff. Since a lot of things aren't one-shotting your Palafin, pick it up, too easy. And only 4 water energy. I have an issue with that, but we'll get back to that. Now, this is how I envision the flow of the deck. Your Buddy-Buddy Poffin can find you these guys. Your Nest Ball could find you, well, any of them, and your Rock Scouting could also find any of them. Cool. Super consistent. These 2 have evolutions, which we can find by also Rock Scouting and Ultra Ball, and are needed to bring out our big attacker. Now, it's 2 stage 1s, and a stadium, and another basic you need on the bench to make this combo work. That is a several piece combo, and what do we know about several piece combos? Unless you're a perfect deck builder, they can be hard to hit. Now, I haven't personally took this deck for a spin, but I can imagine that this combo you're going to break. What percentage of the time? I don't know. If you hit it 60% or more of the time, maybe you're good. I just imagine you're going to break, or it's going to be slow, and that's why I imagine a lot of heavy use on this little guy. But that's to be expected with the Dragapult Budew wars that are going on. So, we have this guy in the active, evolved, send Zoroark up, send some to the bench, evolve, attach, free retreat back into the Palafin EX, start swinging. Now, the damage output. That is one of my big issues here. 250 is great against big basic decks. You'll be fine against Raging Bolt. You might be back and forth a little bit with the Joltik box, where you're going to one-shot them, they're going to one-shot you, and that's kind of a consistency war. It's going to be the Gardevoir and the Dragapults, where you're very rarely going to hit the 280 plus the 40 to hit 320. There exists a world where you're one-shotting. You're a Gardevoir and Dragapult, and that's probably what's going to help you win those games, but it's not going to happen often enough because you do not have Tool Search, and you do not have Supporter Search. You don't have Search. You have Draw. That kind of sucks. Speaking of not having Search, you're running 4 water energy in this list. That was my biggest issue playing original Palafin EX. I never had the water energy in hand when I needed it. Now, I relied on it for some retreating sometimes. I played it with Jet Energy originally, and that was an issue. But I don't think 4 water energy is the move here. I could be wrong, but you're going to have to really draw into it, and you don't have any other way to get it except draw. So that's kind of my only issue with the list. Maybe you have enough draw where it's not an issue. Set up a couple of Zoroarks. That's 4 cards. 7 plus 4 is 11. That's more than 6 of your deck, especially if you've already got a bunch of cards in play. Maybe they're fine, but between the weird output, the weird need for heavy comboing and draw here means that I don't think this deck is it. And we haven't seen it on the ladder. I've never seen the ladder. I've not seen anyone besides YouTubers who love them to death, make funny decks, play. But I'm definitely going to build this and play it into my locals because I love Palafin EX. So if you want to have some fun, take this deck for a spin, but don't think you're going to go into regionals with it anytime soon. And with that, thanks for watching. Tell me how wrong I am in my comments. Tell me what decks you're enjoying, and have a good day.